What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we are building a auto-generated interactive map of the code base that we are working on. So the idea here is that as a project that we are working on grows, it becomes harder to track in an individual session what is happening, right? As like relevant pieces of code spread out across code base, and I'm jumping around very quickly in the editor, it is hard to follow sometimes where we are. And the other day, somebody just asked in my chat, like, hey, can you just throw up like a quick little UML diagram of the code base? I'm like, okay, I don't have a UML diagram of the code base. What do you think I am? But also, it's not like really an unreasonable request, right? You can gain a lot of context by just having like a few little pictures on the screen, right? So in that context, we were working on like input handling in our GUI framework, and we were seeing like they just wanted to know like where do the keys come from, right? So we go like glfw keys go to this like input state handling, and input state is like passed to like a widget through widget APIs, and the widget is implementing like many of things are referencing widget, right? We have like label is a widget, and text box is a widget, and like both of the and like I don't know, like app is shown even as a widget. Like showing like this type of stuff just so that we could like maybe with like a little bit of like flavor with it, like saying like this guy handles is like GUI like internal abstraction for input in a given frame. This guy is like our window handling library. This guy is like a widget that shows some text. This guy is like a widget that lets you change some text. Like if we just had like a few little blurbs as well as like how things are connected to each other, I think that if we just showed that on the side of the screen, that would be really helpful. Now, as this, we have the same problem here though, right? Where as the code base grows, there's too many boxes to show on the screen at once, and showing all of the boxes would be more noise than helpful, right? So what I'm imagining is that we can leverage our editor to say this is the areas of the code base we're spending a lot of time in. Can we bias whatever we are showing towards what we are editing right now? So in the case where we're working on a text box, we might have like we might see that we're working on the text box, and the text box implements widget, and text boxes are also using like text generation, which uses text layout, right? Like if we're like in those areas of the code base because of what we're working on, then those should be shown somehow with maybe a little bit of like flavor text to explain what's going on. So kind of like hand wavy at a high level, what I'm imagining is that like we can build like a tree of stuff, right? And the more that something is referenced, the lower down in the tree it goes, right? So you can imagine like main. Nobody in our code base is calling main. So main is like the highest up in the whole world, right? And main is going to like kind of look at app, right? And app is going to look at like object storage in our image editor, right? And the object storage is going to look at like text objects and shader objects and like image objects, whatever, right? This is kind of like the tree this way. Then like kind of like down here, maybe text uses the like text renderer, right? And on the other side of the tree, we have like GUI, and GUI like maybe references like labels and like text boxes and like lists, I don't know. And all of these guys kind of also look at the text renderer, right? So we can imagine that there's some sort of structure here where like proximity of things to other things is going to be tied to how many connections there are to those things, I guess, right? So if something references the text renderer like 1,000 times in a file, then the text renderer should be like kind of tightly coupled to that thing. And if something only like happens to call the text renderer one time, maybe then he's allowed to drift a little farther away. So like we could maybe like do like X position in this graph is related to trying to keep things close together. Y position is related to number of imports. There's also kind of like this other concept where there's kind of like two hierarchies in this world. One is like how many things are referencing each other, right? So this hierarchy is showing like references, but there's also kind of like an actual hierarchy in a file, right? GUI, like the GUI file literally has like a widget class inside, right? And the widget class inside him has like functions like render and like set input state and update, right? So I think that we can probably combine a couple concepts here. I've seen these graphs before of like hierarchy views that look kind of like this, right? So you have like a big thing, and as you kind of drill down into like this is showing like a CPU profile, right? So like this box, this big box here is indicating like one function, and within these functions there are all these other functions that are called, and these functions call other functions, and those functions call other functions. So we can maybe use that to show like structure, like file hierarchy in some way. Maybe we can use something maybe related to this concept. Maybe we can kind of show like GUI. We could maybe try to model this stuff as like a map of the stars, you could imagine, right? So you could maybe have like a solar system that is an individual file, and you could like model interactions between the solar systems by placing them close together. I don't know. We're gonna play with it, but in order to do any of this stuff, in order to do any of it, we have to figure out how components of a code base are connected, right? So that's the plan for today, is just try to extract some connections between stuff. We can figure out how to visualize them later, but really like we need some data to work with in order to experiment with different ways of showing that data. So the plan of action is I want to leverage a language server to find references, right? If I go into my editor right now and I go into GUI and I look at my widget and I just say like, who uses widget? I get a list of stuff, right? And this is like pretty reasonable, right? We have like all of these widgets, implement widget, as well as like our default GUI also references a bunch of widgets. And then if we go and look at like the default GUI, we could say who uses this thing, right? Who calls default GUI? No LSP references found. That's super great. Love that. But if it worked, we should see that like this guy calls default GUI. I think that there's like a little bit of a bug here where a file needs to be opened for the language server to be aware of it. But say we kind of resolve that. Now when I hit control, I said find references. He knows that this guy references it, right? So I think I want to use language servers to resolve references between things. We could just try to resolve references ourselves, but there are a lot of cases in a lot of languages where that becomes like pretty complex, right? Like imagine in C, you have a macro system that like auto like generates function calls. It's hard to know like when something calls something. Or like in Python, if you try to find references for something, you need to like resolve the types that are passed into a function to know if like who they're referencing. So like finding references can be quite complex, which is why I want to leverage existing tech to do that. So I think using language servers is a pretty good place to do that. And so I think to do that, we need to figure out how the fuck do we talk to an LSP? So that's kind of step one. How the hell do we talk to an LSP? And then I think that we need to like find things that we want to ask the LSP about, and then write those things down. And so we will see how far we get. We're going to start with LSP initialization. Just try to like launch this thing and talk to it and see if we can find some references for anything. But yeah, we'll see how it goes from there. This might take a while in time. It might be pretty quick. We'll see. So let's start a new project. We'll call this code map. Wow, look at us go. And in here, we will make a new thing. And I guess we will kind of copy an environment from somewhere else, because we need an environment. So let's exit the current environment, get into a new one, and figure that out. Okay, quit, please. I said quit. Oh my gosh, how many editors do I have open? Oh my gosh, how many editors do I have open? Okay. Okay, so in here, we don't need to pull from unstable anymore. And let's get in. You always worried, where are my YouTube VODs? Well, yeah, I mean, I haven't been streaming. I took a couple days off. And then the last stream from yesterday, or the 2 days ago, I couldn't find a good title for it, so I just gave up. But we should be back on schedule soon. Okay. So let's just make some source file. Let's do a little, did I get into this already? We did. And let's do pub function main. And let's just make sure that we are doing what we think we're doing. So let's return an error, hello world. And if we run this thing, we should see hello world. Nice. Okay. So let's try to launch ZLS, the language server. And let's try to use it to query things about our image editor. I think that's a good place to start. So how do we do that? I guess we need to launch ZLS in some way. Now, these language servers, the way they work, when I go into Vim and I go, let's open the the image editor environment really quick. Just give me a sec. He's got to launch. He's got to think. But when I go in here and I say, NeoVim, fuck, hurry up. Please, sir, we're waiting. Everyone is waiting on you. You're holding up the line. So when I go in here, what happens here when I click go to definition, my editor, I think if I go LSP info here, he has opened up a language server for Zig, right? He's using this command here, ZLS. And if I type ZLS here, we get like a thing. And if I start just like typing into here, he goes like, oh fuck, I don't know what to do with that. But if we type the right magical incantations, he will give us back some useful information, right? So what the expectation here is that you open up this program, you send some JSON at it, and he'll throw some JSON back at you, right? So if I go into, I think it's in like local site nvim. It's a local share nvim. Where I thought it was in local site, but I'm not seeing that. How do I like turn on LSP logging? NeoVim LSP log. I could have sworn it was in where to find debug for logs for an LSP. Yeah, I thought this command seems familiar. Let's try that. So if we go into like main and we type this shit. Oh, it was local state, not site. My bad. Okay, so if we open this, actually let's nuke that file because it's probably like fucking massive. And then try again. So if we go in here and I jump to definition, right? We can look at what happened here. Take a little peek. So this is not very useful. But what's happening here is he's supposed to be sending messages to the child process that was started with ZLS. See, we see this. We see this client is this thing we here, which isn't what we saw here, but it's something similar. I think what we can do is we can ask ZLS to log every single RPC message he gets. I'm pretty sure that we can do that. And so if we go into our config here, we can look for our launch commands for ZLS, and we can just kind of modify them a little bit. So I think we do this like this. We say ZLS ops. We change the command to be ZLS with enable message tracing. And I believe that will spit out everything in the world at us. I believe. So if we go into main Zig now and I go boom, and we nvim that log file again. Not really doing what I want, huh? Not doing what I want. I could have sworn that was it. Can we look at like the command that this is run with? Are you using a fancy split keyboard? No. No, I'm not. Oh, maybe I need to enable debug log as well. That might be it. So here we use this, and let's try, well, also let's just try, first of all, if I just start like, if I write some garbage in here, does that change the behavior? Yes, okay, so that says, hey, I don't know how to start that language server, which means that this is applying. And can we try like enable debug log as well? Okay, so now let's jump to definition, maybe like find some references. Cool, and let's look at that file again. Okay, here, yeah, here we go. We are seeing some JSON blobs around. Yeah, see, we see message sent here. Nice, okay. So can we see like, I guess the play here is to look at the, did you restart ZLS after changing the command? I thought so. I thought that the ZLS is spawned by NeoVim, was my understanding. But it's worth double checking. If we look at like the LSP specification, if I remember correctly, the LSP goes through like several states, right? I think that we have to initialize this guy. Then we say that we are initial. Then he responds that he is initialized, and then I think that we have to open a document. I think where did I ask this? I think that I was too lazy to read the spec, and I just asked a neural network. I was like, I want to make an LSP client to find references. What commands do I have to send to the language server to get fully initialized? I think that was what I asked. I asked him something around there. Yeah, so he's like, you need to ask initialize, and then you get initialized, and then you send references. I think last time I asked this, he said something about open, so fucking AIs are not very reliable. But at the very least, we know that we have to send an initialize message. So I think that probably we should just try to kind of work with what we can find in the spec. If that works, then we will kind of move on from there. But maybe it's easier to start, like, if we get into trouble, we can start inspecting this log. I think that's probably the play. Okay, so overview of the language server protocol. I don't really care that much about that. They're telling us about data structures. I don't give a shit. I care more about how the fuck do we like send a message somewhere in here. Base. Okay. Base protocol. This is what I care about. So every message contains a header and a content part. The header consists of fields that look a lot like HTTP content length and content type, followed by a JSON blob. Right? Here is an example. So we start the language server, we send them some shit like this. What happens if we just do that? Right? Like, let's start there. Here they talk about like, here are like some of our base types. They say things that are derived from this like message, and then we have request messages and response messages. They model these things with like inheritance. We don't really have inheritance like this in Zig, but we can probably approximate it in some way. Then we should assume that at some point we need to send an initialize request, because I have seen that before in my life. So I think that the step one here is to try to send any message, and we'll try to send the most basic initialization message. But before we do that, I guess we kind of have to like launch ZLS. So let's try that. We should be able to like std process. I think it's like child initialize with some arguments. Yeah, that seems right. So can we go like ZLS like this? And what else does he want? He wants like an allocator. Yeah, so we need to have a general purpose allocator, and then we need to have a GPA is equal to std heap general purpose allocator and defer GPA dnit. Okay. So can we do like process is this guy? I think we need to call like process spawn after. And then I think that we can do like, maybe we wait 1 second and then quit, ? That seems reasonable. Std time sleep. Can we sleep for 1 second and then kill the process? I think it's something like this. So if we just do that, he gets mad because this thing needs to be variable. These things can fail. And these guys have some like thing that they return that I don't care about right now. Okay, so there we go. We get ZLS launched, we wait a second, and then we give up. Cool. I think that we actually probably want to run this in a different directory. So can we... What is the difference between these two? Set to change the current working directory when spawning the child process. This is not yet implemented for Windows. Once this is done, CWD will be deprecated in favor of this field. But for now, we just have to use CWD. Okay. So I guess for now, can we do home streamer works image editor. We want to work in this directory. Okay, cool. And then I guess we probably want to like talk to this thing in some way. So can we construct an initialize message and kind of move from there? So where was that thing? Lifecycle messages, initialize. This is probably the first thing that we have to ask. Can we initialize, please? So this comes from method is just initialize, okay, which we saw here in this method function here. So we saw, okay, there's a message. Message requires a JSON RPC file use. So let's start there. Message is a struct who has a JSON RPC value of a string. Boom. Okay. Then we have a request message that extends message. So based off of this example, we can probably assume that by extend, they mean like has these fields adjacent to those other fields, right? And if we want to easily model these things, we could just do like request message struct like this, right? We could do this, and then we could copy paste this field over here, and then add in the fields that they talked about. So they have like ID, then they have like method, and they have params, right? Which is like an optional like thing, right? We'll deal with that later. Now this, if we are going to keep using this like extension thing going forward, I think it might be kind of fun to use some like Zig metaprogramming to automatically generate this. And I was looking this up before the stream, and it looks like this is possible. If you look up like Zig compile time type generation, you can do this thing. Building things at compile time. We don't really have to care about anything he talks about other than this at type built in. So if you look at the Zig language reference, you can basically generate a structure at compile time by using this thing. So this function is the inverse of type info. What the fuck? Re-ifies type information into a type. Rectifies maybe, and they just like forgot a word. But the idea here is if I do something and I say like extend message, and we say we have some sort of like base message that we're trying to extend, and some child type that we're trying to like tack on. We can, instead of like, usually we would do like return struct here, right? Return a struct and we like auto-generate it. But we can do this instead. We can return a type. And all we have to do now is put the fields here that we would want to put. And these fields are defined in std built-in type this thing, right? So all we have to do is like make a structure with these things in it. So let's figure those out. Struct equals this. So if we go, did I not just fucking copy those things from built-in? Hello? Struct, did I not just copy these? Okay. I think reify is the inverse of reflection. Ah, interesting. Interesting. I've never heard that word before. Okay, so layout is a container layout, which I guess we should maybe pull back up. So container layout can be one of auto, extern, or packed. So I guess it's probably auto. We probably want an automatically packed type. This is only valid if we're packed and we're not. Fields here, let's just start by copying base fields. So I think we take the base fields. We say like base info is a type info of base. And I guess we can do the child info as well. And we don't really have any declarations, so we'll just kind of get rid of those. We are not a tuple. So we can kind of do this, and then all we have to do is do like base info fields, and I guess it's struct fields. And I guess we can just like concatenate these with the child info. Struct fields. And I think, do we fuck this up? Yeah. So I think if we just go like this now, we say like const request message is equal to extend message with whatever they asked us to define here, ID and method, I think this should give us something interesting. So if we do like down here, we go like, I want to make a request message of JSON RPC. They said this has to equal 2.0. Then we have ID is equal 4 and method is equal to, I don't know, hello or initialize, I guess in this case. I guess here our ID is probably 1. And we print this thing. I think this does what I want. Like, come the fuck on. That's so cool. That's so cool. So we just like took these fields and like stuck them next to these ones, which is pretty sick, which means we can start kind of modeling. That's pretty nifty. It even looks natural. Yeah, it's pretty fucking sick. This means that we can start modeling like whatever types they want using the same like extension mechanism that they put in their like documents. And we don't need to have any type of like inheritance on our side. We can just be like, okay, slap the fields together, baby. Right? And we could maybe even like we could probably like build on this concept to like allow partial initialization of stuff. Like I'm sure that that's possible. But all we wanted to do was we wanted to try sending an initialize message, right? So we need to basically take a request message, this message. We need to serialize him. So we should have like JSON stringify. We should be able to just like stringify this message, right? With some options. And they want me to go to an output stream. Can I just like stringify directly to a string? Is that like a stringify alloc? Probably is what I want. Yeah, because this is just going to be a U8 stream out. We'll do that for now. There's better ways, but it's fine. So here will be like, this is our message serialized, right? And we should be able to be like, I just need to free this thing. I don't think I've seen plus plus before. Is that some sort of comp time only magic? It takes two arrays and sticks them together, which is useful in some ways, right? Like if you're doing like hello plus plus world, that will create like, I guess with a space in here, that will create like one string of hello world. I don't really know if that's all it can do, but I know that's one of the things it can do at the very least. One and maybe the only. So if we want to construct this message, we need to take, what is it? Content length, content type. They say this is defaulted, so they don't care about this. We only care about the content length. So we should be able to go like, I think we need to say that you want standard in here to be piped. Maybe it's like standard in behavior. Yeah. So we go like, let me send that shit from myself. Don't take what the fucking person types into the terminal. Let me send that shit. And so we should be able to go like, process stood in writer, right? Maybe we just write, writer, I think is easiest. Writer print content length, is it? With a content length. And we need to specify the length, right? Like this. And then we pass it, we give it a double carriage return new line is what it says here. And then we send it the JSON, right? So we should be able to just be like, message serialized len, message serialized, right? That should give us something interesting. Let's see if he bitches at us in any way, shape, or form. Okay, this is good. This is good. So he says, yo, I've got a parse error. He doesn't really say what it is. He failed to process request one initialize error, parse error. So it could be that he's expecting the params field. We could maybe like pull the ZLS source code and start looking at that maybe. It's probably the play. Do we already have it? That seems like the type of thing we might have pulled before. Nice. So can we look at request? Here we go. So here is the message. We were looking for like maybe failed to process in here. And this is coming from process message. I guess we're looking for like parse error on this stuff. So code. Oh, we have a code. 32700. Code. Parse error. Okay, that's not very helpful. Can we look for like initialize request maybe? Initialize params. Okay, method initialize params. So this is looking promising in some way. So he is expecting these initialize params. They don't really look optional, right? So in here, a lot of these things are optional, but client capabilities seems to not be. Okay, and client capabilities, everything else in here is optional. So it looks like we need to add in our parameters in some way. Now, I have not really thought about how we would do this. I only got as far as the idea of this extension thing. So I think that here we want to go like initialize message, I guess, is extend message of message with these parameters. That seems reasonable. And these parameters, we said need, what was it? Fuck, we need to keep that other window open. We're gonna get lost. So let's go back into ZLS and look for initialize params. So here he wants capabilities. And I believe we said we could kind of leave this empty. Everything else here looks nullable, right? So if we do this, do we still parse error? Which means that here we actually want to create an initialize message. And here we need to default initialize our parameters, I guess. No field name ID, because we actually don't want to extend the request message here, not just the default message. Here he needs the capabilities struct. If I do this, all right, that looks okay. Oh, hell fucking yeah, dude. Look at that. So we just got a valid response back. Look at that. Look at that. We've initialized ZLS, baby. Let's go. Okay, so let's try to like talk to this thing in some way. I guess we can say that we finally initialized an LSP. And let's try to like interact with LSP in some way. Okay. So first of all, let's try to open a file, maybe. Right? So let's look at the lifecycle message. So we have overview, initialized. We can register capabilities, trace, and shut down, but presumably that's not required, right? Maybe we just fucking run it. Well, okay, first of all, let's see what capabilities have we ignored? Workspace capabilities. Sure. So like folders, code lens diagnostics. These sound maybe relevant and interesting in some way. Text document stuff. So these are like things that we might want to ask for. So here, if we are asking to find references, we might want to specify that we support dynamic registration. Maybe not. Maybe by default we're fine. Maybe by default we're fine. Okay, can we just try like sending a find references request? Like if we go language features, find references. Let's just kind of see what happens. So the references request is sent from the client to server to resolve project-wide references for a symbol denoted by the given text document position. Property name is references. Property type this thing. So how the fuck? Okay, so there's like capabilities. I don't really care about those right now. let's just try to call this. So we call the method text document references. Okay. So I guess here we're going to have a what is this called? References? Find references. And I guess I wonder if we can like set defaults in this thing easily. Maybe not. Maybe it's not worth thinking about right now. So params are reference params defined as follows. So this extends all three of these things. Okay, so I guess that means that we need all of these. And what is reference context? That's this. Okay. So this is simple. Okay, so we have like partial result params is a struct. We can, this is nullable, so we can just ignore that. Okay, fine. This is also optional, so we'll just ignore that. We do need text document position params, so we'll start here. We'll start here. Okay, so this needs text document identifier and position. Okay, Jesus Christ, which means document URI, which is just a string. Okay, so const this is a struct, URI is a const u8. Okay, that's one down. Then we have text document position params is this thing. So this is chill. I don't know why he's pissed, probably because he's got some future things he doesn't know to deal with. So now we need a position, which is this. Okay. Okay, boom, 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 boom. So U32 probably is good enough for now. Okay. So now we have this, which means that we should be able to create a find references, right? Which was back here somewhere that extends this thing. And the rest of them we didn't care about. And he also has a context. So how, I guess that means that we need like children, right? Is kind of how I feel like we should do this. Now I don't know how we would like automatically append all of these things. That seems not really trivial. And can you do like comp time? You can do like inline 4. Right, we can do this. But I don't really know if you can like append to an array at compile time. Is there like a comp time allocator type shit? In the JSON output of input, I could see the cap. I don't know what you mean, but I'm sure it's relevant in some way. Oh. So here he's just doing, I've seen it done with slices. Ah. Clever. Clever, okay. So fields is gonna be a bunch of, what was it? It was like stood built-in struct field. That seems right. And then here we go like, I guess this starts as base info struct fields. Then we go like fields is equal to fields plus child info struct fields, maybe. And then here we just go like fields equals fields, question mark. Which means that now when we do extend message, we can go like this here, this here, this here. And now we should be able to pass in like multiple types here. Fuck. Expected this, found that. Right, because this thing has to be const probably. This has to be const. Expected this, found that at 26 now. Oh, here. There we go. Okay, wait, that seems good. That seems good. So now we should be able to like say we extend many things, right? So here we extend text document position. No. I forget what we were extending. I forgot already. References extends, yeah, params, and then he just has context. I guess it's like reference params is equal to extend text document position. I guess we have like our thing. It doesn't really matter the order, I guess. So here I have like a context thing that is our reference context. Include declaration like this, I guess. And then we have like find references. We extend the request message with params as reference params. That seems reasonable. Seems reasonable. So now we can go like, I guess we want to do like send a message here of any type. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And we are going to send this to some writer, which is also probably any type for simplicity. And then we will do this like, I guess, this, like, boom. And then we need to serialize the message. So that's done kind of like this stuff that we did before. And so that means we need an allocator. Okay, which means that we need like std mem allocator here. Okay. Okay. So that means that the existing stuff can be done with like writer or send message with our allocator writer. Was that the order? It was message then writer. So the message is an initialize message. Okay. And then okay, so if we do this, we should see the same shit we saw before. Instead, we see missing struct field JSON RPC because this doesn't exist anymore. Get this shit out of there. Okay, cool. So we still see ourselves initialize, and now we should be able to, after initialization, send a find references question mark, probably with ID 2, text document find references. I think it was, or what was it called? References. References, like this, right? And the params here need to be something, but let's just see if this compiles. He's probably mad because here in our extension, this we actually never needed the multiple types thing, but you know what you're gonna do. Missing fields, text document, so I guess it's here. Missing field URI. So this is gonna be like file. I think they said the URIs are like this. URI. Hello, basic URI here. So this is, yeah, file : //. So let's say that we want to look for references to like I don't know. Um, is it easy to just look for like references to log error in main? Probably. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So we have some file here, right? It's probably like this. Okay. And we're missing position, which I think was here. Missing field line. So this is line 20. And column like 8. No field call, is it column? Okay, we'll fucking look character. Jeez, really? If you say so. Missing field context. And what was in the context? It was include declaration. Let's not include the declaration. Did I? Oh, it's not underscores in this format. Okay, missing field text document. Am I fucking stupid? It's right here. Reference params, context. Oh, wait, am I stupid? This is not supposed to extend the text document params. Okay, so we got somewhere. He's saying, yo, invalid request, negative 32600. This is what he sent us back the first time. Then here he says, failed to process request 2, text document references, invalid request. So I guess we just start looking through ZLS and try to understand what we did wrong compared to what he expects. So can we look for like invalid? First of all, let's make sure that we're on the right version of ZLS here. That seems dangerous. 012, that's not good. Okay, our ZLS is like shallow clone. I can never remember how to like get out of a shallow clone. I know you probably want to do it yourself, but I did think this is how ZLS generates these things. Probably you accidentally put a little quote here. Oh, that's kind of cool. So they take in some form of definition, I assume, and then just like bang them out. Neat. Neat, neat, neat. We will probably end up generating something that resembles this in some way, shape, or form. But we'll see. We'll see how. If it gets too painful, then we will do it their way. But I think it's kind of fun to get your hands dirty a little bit. How do we like convert shallow to full clone? Git fetch unshallow. Oh, nice. That's that. I feel like I remember it being way harder than that. But now I should be able to git pull, git fetch all, git checkout 013. Why is he not pulling everything? Git fetch origin. To get access to all the branches. Oh, okay. Much better. Yeah, I think the meta model.json file has the message s. Ah, so I'm supposed to download that from somewhere probably. And I just didn't because I don't read. Okay, so now we're on 013. And we want to look for invalid request here. Okay. So it might be that we're in the initializing state. That seems quite likely because I don't really see that thing sent from anywhere else. Right? We only see that if we're in the wrong state. So I guess we're in the initializing state, which means that we must have to wait for the initialized notification before sending that. So what if instead of doing that, we just put a little sleepies? You know? Just sleep for a second. Then then send the next thing. Let's just see if that changes the behavior. If it does, we know to wait. No, he still says invalid request, even if we wait, which is interesting. So why is that? We must not understand. We must not understand. But I really don't see this anywhere else. It really feels like it has to be this. So if we're in initializing and we're allowed to exit here in these cases, is it that we are supposed to... Oh, are we supposed to send initialized on our side? Could be, could be. Is sent from the client to the server after the client received the result of initialized request, but before the client is sending anything else. Ah, I see. I see. Okay, so we send... We're just going to assume for now that we got the message because we're cheaters. So can we go initialize? This is just going to be like a request message, no parameters of initialized, like this. So we go, we sure got your response. Method not found. Okay. Why not? Oh, we're supposed to send a notification, maybe? A notification is maybe different than a request. Could be. This extends method with params. Yeah, so there's no ID on a notification. I see. So here we go. Notification extends message with method. And so here we are not sending a request message. We're sending a notification like this. Okay. So failed to parse notification initialized, parse error. So let's look at that. So I think that we still need to pass the parameters probably. He's looking for some parameters even if they're empty. So can we go in initialized notification extends notification with params like this. Okay. Okay. Okay, that seems reasonable. There we go. Okay, so now nobody's angry at us, it looks like. Then when we ask for references at that place, he's saying, yo, bitch, no references. Right? That's kind of what he's saying. This is the result of our initial request. Then we send this other thing, and he goes, no references. So why is that? Why is that? It could be. We've kind of seen the behavior where ZLS only looks at files that we've already opened, right? So it could be that we have to actually ask it to open that file. So we might need to send this like did open text document notification. So this thing is just text document. Wait, hold on. It's just did open text document. So this is just did open. Yeah, here. Text document did open with text document item, which is this stuff. Okay. Okay. So we have text document item is a structure of these things. So just kind of whoop. We already looked at document URI. So document URI is just a string. Language ID is also a string. Okay. Version, integer. I32 question mark? Text. What the fuck is text? The content of the opened text document. We have to send them the fucking content? What the fuck? We literally send the whole file over the fucking wire every time? There's no way, right? The document open notification sent from the client to the server to signal a newly open text document. This document's content is now managed by the client, and the server must not try to read the document's content using the document's URI. Open in this sense means that it is managed by the client. It does not necessarily mean that the content is presented in an editor. An open notification must not be sent more than once without a corresponding close notification. This means that open and close must be balanced. Sure. Note that a server's ability to fulfill requests is independent of whether a text document is open or closed. Well, we've definitely seen behavior where that's not quite the case. So I guess we'll just fucking run it for now. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so let's see what happens if we just try to open this thing. We'll just fucking run it. I don't know. So these are the params. So if we say like const did open is an extend message of notification with whatever the fuck we put in here. So it's a text document is a text document item, which is this stuff. So if we want to send a did open, did we not need to send a client capability or something? That seems pretty likely. I think that was part of the initialize method, and we just kind of skipped everything that we just skipped everything in there. But it could be that we are not getting any things because we just didn't care about it. So I think I saw capabilities. Not every language server can support all features defined by the protocol. LSP therefore provides capabilities. A capability is a groups a set of language features. A development tool and the language server announce their supported features using capabilities. As an example, a server announces that it can handle hover, but it might not handle the workspace symbol request. Similar, a development tool announces its ability to provide about to save notifications so the server can complete textual edits, blah, blah, blah. And this is handled during initialize. So it could be that in our initialize options here, right, we saw in here that there are client capabilities that these things are null. It could be that we have to specify them, right, just to get the behavior that we want. That's like a very real possibility. However, it might be interesting to snoop what Vim sent. Is that something that we have access to? What was it? It was local state nvim LSP log, I think is where it was. Can we look at like the initialize request? Okay, method initialize. Can we look for a client capabilities here? So he does send a bunch of stuff here. It's really hard to parse. But it looks like he does just send a bunch of shit here. Can we look at like references? So he does send it with dynamic registration is false. So we could maybe try that same behavior and see if that changes anything. JQ, that's another bitch. It's like a lot of like escaping too, though. I think we're gonna have to do a little bit of we're gonna have to do a little bit of processing to it if we want. Okay, so these capabilities, right? We want this to include, what was it? It was, I already forgot. It was text document references. And in here, the reference client capabilities are dynamic registration. Bool, I think we just say equals false, like this. So it'd be interesting, missing field text document. Oh, so here we have to do like this the whole way up. Okay, so here we did send with that request, I'm assuming. We kind of sent this whole thing. He parsed it correctly, which is good for us, right? If we make a mistake in here and we said like dynamic registration, I assume that we'll get a parse error here. Oh, interesting. We do not. We do not. Why not? If we put like a typo in capabilities, he does get mad about that. Parse error on initialize. Is it, why do we write text document here? If I put a mistake in here, does it get mad? No. Interesting. Interesting. So why not? Did we spell? It is text document here. Do we see anything interesting when we come with the information that comes back? He provides some capabilities. He does have references provider true here, which seems to not depend on us doing this or not. It seems like this just says that no matter what. References. Yeah. So I'm not really too worried about this, I guess. It could be that like this is just never parsed. It could be that the ZLS language server just does not give a fuck about this stuff. Could be. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm going to go back down the road of trying to open the document because we know that we've seen different ZLS behavior based off of what files are open. So I think that that's probably the next thing. It's probably the next thing. So can we send a whatever the fuck this thing was called? Did open. Okay, so this is, we need text document did open here, and the params need to be defined by whatever the fuck we have here. So it's text document. What is language ID here? Zig is not in this list, so it's custom value every time, I guess. So we went to text document item. Do we just write custom in there? Can we just write Zig? Can we look for like, what are they expecting? Yeah, so they are expecting custom value Zig. And so I guess we'll start there. Looks like they want, oh, this is tests. Sure. What's version here? Version number of this document will increase after change, including undo redo. Okay, so we'll just say version 1. The URI is going to be, I guess, something that resembles this guy, but he's going to be like source main.zig, I think. And here we need to provide the text. So can we just look like main zig content, I guess? Const main zig content is equal to main zig read to end alloc. Okay. Before we do that, though, we need to have the file. Main zig f is std fs open file absolute, I guess, is what we're doing here. We are taking in this stuff, I guess. Like this. Main zig f, return alloc with some amount of capped message length. Defer main zig f close. We have to do defer alloc free main zig content like this, and then we should be able to just like slam that shit. Let's just kind of see what happens. So he's mad because no field name params on Jesus Christ. This has to be like params is equal to this, I guess. Main zig content is mad because we have to write try here. Okay. So I don't really know. It looks like he didn't get angry, which is good. Can we like run ZLS with like our enable message tracing and shit? What was this like this and enable debug log, I think? Let's just like fucking crank up the info. Okay. So that's, I mean, good by some metric. Here he's just printed out the whole fucking main file content. So we did receive the fucking document open. That's good. And he didn't reject it. Also good. Took 0 milliseconds to process. And so then the rest of this is a little interesting. I wonder if we're passing the wrong line number. It could be that our line number is supposed to be 0 indexed instead of 1 indexed. Can you look at the nvim log and see if nvim do this inline file? Yeah, that's not a bad idea. What was it? Local state nvim LSP log, and we're looking for like did open. Really looks like we did. It does, huh? Okay, can we look up like text document references here? So what's like a normal thing to do here? So here he does in fact find a bunch of results, which is interesting. There's a lot of open files here going on. Fuck. I think I saw something about a progress message. I think that it's possible that like ZLS hasn't figured it out yet. Right? There's a good chance that we have to wait for ZLS to like parse the world, right? Why wouldn't we? So I wonder if there's a way to do that. I think I saw in the ZLS repo, we saw like progress when we were looking for the like invalid request thing. I saw this, right? So what the fuck is this? This has progress params, and this is, I guess, a request. Progress token and value the progress data. What the fuck is this? Can we look for like LSP progress? I'm pretty sure I've seen this before. To like list out like how far. Yeah, here, right? He says like, yo, we've got some shit to run. Yeah, this loading workspace. So we want to see that to like max out, right? So how the fuck does this thing work? LSP language server progress message like is okay. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. The base protocol offers support to report progress in a generic fashion. This mechanism can be used to report any type of progress, including work done progress and partial result progress. A progress notification has the following properties. So this is a notification. Ah. Okay. So how the fuck does this work? Is it like the server? Oh, okay, wait, hold on. This is used to pass from the server to the client to ask the client to create a work done progress token. Interesting. What if we just sleep for a little bit instead? This sounds complicated. What if we let's just, sleep for a couple seconds before sending find references? Like a whole like we'll give him like 10 seconds. We'll be really generous here, because I also want to use that time to check if ZLS is just railing disk. It does not look like ZLS is railing disk. So why the fuck not? This file is not the right file, huh? That is probably related. Surely we want to look at the file we want to look at, right? Surely. Okay, fuck this sleep. Let's just fucking rail him and see what happens. Oh, wait a second. That looks really good. Oh, hell fucking yeah, man. That's some fucking references, baby. Now, I don't like the idea that these are coming from stud. That's not good, right? Why the fuck are we seeing references in stud to our fucking log error in main? That's not good, but this is like definitely something interesting. Okay, so can we look at the message, the request message for finding references? That's going to be in text document client, where the general, where the fuck was there not something in like text document? Where the language features? That's where it was. It was find references. Here we go. Okay, let's just close all this shit. Let's not get lost. We're gonna get lost if we don't close all our shit. Okay, so this guy was text document position params. Position. And this is 0 based. So it looks like we probably want to be actually line 19, not line 20, because I think Vim is 1 based, right? So we need to, if we saw line 20, we need to go down by 1. Okay. And now all of these references are in our file. That's so good. Everything's in main, which is what we expect for log errors. Now, what we can do is we can now check all of these references to see if they're at the right fucking spot. But before we do that, we actually have to like parse this message in some way. And this is also scary. 630 milliseconds to process the request, but it could be that that's because he had to do a bunch of initialization. It could be that that's like a one-time thing. If every request takes like half a second to process, we are going to be in pain if we try to build a map of the entire code base. Okay, so we need to like process some responses. I guess that means that we need the process stood out behavior to be pipe. And we need to we need some sort of like map of requests, right? We need to say like this request is ID 2. I'm expecting to find references for these things on that response handle. Right, I'm assuming that this thing comes back with a ID, right? So each request goes out with an ID and comes back with an ID, which means that it might be time for us to start making some sort of struct here. Something like this. And he's going to be like outgoing requests, I guess, is going to be like stood auto hash map from I32 to something. I don't really know what. I guess like the request type is one option. Or this could just be like literally nothing, right? We could just be like, here are outgoing requests. we have some numbers. No, surely they need the type, right? So let's just for now say that we have some like request types, right? So we're like, we have find references and initialize, right? So this should be request type. I always write plural when I'm writing the enum definition, but it should never, I never want it to be plural when I use it, right? So that's confusing. I'm writing a list, but the list is singular. It's a list where we're planning to look at one option at a time. Okay, so we have outgoing requests. We are going to have some sort of state machine, surely, right? We're going to be like, we are in one of many states. We are in initializing or initialized, right? I guess we are going to start in initializing. And I guess we kind of like immediately go out of the initializing state. Well, I guess we can't send any messages until we get the initialized response, kind of like theoretically. So, I don't know, man. I guess we're also going to hold on to a like couple handles, right? We're going to have like output stood in is going to be a stood fs file, and stood out is a stood fs file, I guess. And stood in, do we want to name, maybe we name this tx and rx is maybe a little bit more straightforward. I do the same thing. Facepalm. Oh, enum names. Yeah, it's just hard, man. It's just hard. There are some things that like I think that I'm gonna struggle with for my whole life. One of them is the enum name. Another one, this fucking bites me all the time. If I want like, I want x should not exceed 10. I always write max 10x every fucking time, which gives me the literal opposite of what I want. But it's just like the max value of x is 10, man. I want the max value of x to be 10, not the min value of x to be 10. I want the minimum of 10 in x, sure, but like, I get this wrong every fucking time. And I know I get it wrong every time, and I still get it wrong anyways. And I'm just gonna have that problem for my whole fucking life. And that's just something that I have to live with. Okay. So, oh man, I fuck that up constantly. Dude, it's so fucking hard. It's because I want the max to be 10. You know? Like what else would I write? Right, I don't want the min to be 10. Okay. So I guess on each step, we are going to read from this thing. And I believe the behavior of these like stood in, stood out file handles is that I can read and I will get a length of 0 when it's done, which means that it's not a blocking read. So I think that I have to do like read into buffer. I don't think there's like a convenient way to do like blocking reads here. So I think we just go like max message len. We're just gonna hope to God that no message will ever exceed 4K. That's possible, but I don't really want to deal with that. I guess we could do read to end alloc. That's probably simpler. So we'll just be like, yo, give me everything you fucking got, bro. Which means we're gonna need to have some sort of like allocator. Const clamp top equals min. Perfect. Sounds bro. Yeah, GLS's step function funcks me over similarly all the time. What's that one do again? Hello, DuckDuckGo. Hello. There we go. Dude, why is my internet like this? Chill, bro. Let me read all question mark. I got there. Oh, wait, maybe I didn't. Oh, you're saying read all as a way to do blocking read. Yeah, maybe. So like then I read like the first byte or something. I say don't stop reading until you give me 1 byte, and then read the rest after. Step generates a step function by comparing x to edge. Oh yeah, okay, I can see how this would fuck you. Yeah. Like you just get like this condition reversed probably. Yeah, I can see it. Or maybe like argument order. Okay. So can we do like const message? We allocate here because we're being lazy bitches, and that's okay. We're gonna say that we, if the message is larger than like a meg, then like fuck you. Um, this inline JSON thing should do some strange things if you just insert a \0 into your Zig source file. Yeah, but like who would do that? You know? You're like me. I would do that. And it's like, yeah, okay. uh, okay, so I think that we want to first decode this as a generalized response, right? So we just want to like look at this thing as a like what is it's like a request response or something is probably what this thing is. Response message here. Yeah, so our response message has these things. What the fuck is an LSP any? Any of these? Jesus Christ. But we can ignore these. The member is required on success. The member must not exist if there is an error handling the method. Right. Okay. So in our case, we know that we expect the thing to be a certain way, right? We expect the result of our find references to have some structure to it, which means that we shouldn't treat it as an any. Now, if we want to just get the idea of this thing, I think we're going to say this is like a partial response message. Okay. This extends message with literally just the ID. Right? We're like, send us back our ID. Cool. We can parse this thing first as like a partial response message. So parse from slice. This is our thing as a partial response message. Given our allocator. Okay. We're allocating like crazy today. We don't give a fuck. I don't know Zig, but can you force cast -1 into 0xFFFF? Yeah, you can do bit casts. Bit casts are allowed, but you have to specify bit cast, not int cast. If you do int cast, it will complain about like invalid type or invalid values, but this will work fine. I do one left 31 because fuck it. Yeah, that's fair. I don't really want to read a file that's big. I do one call back up by 20 because I want a meg. A meg seems reasonable to me. Okay, so we need to parse from our message. And the squiggle 0. I'm not sure about the squiggle 0. I'm not sure. And then parse options, we need to say like ignore unknown fields. That's allowed. We're gonna have lots of unknown fields in here. Okay, so here is gonna be our partial response is this. And I guess we are going to switch on the, I guess we're gonna like try to look up in our outgoing requests what the response ID is, probably. Partial response value ID or something. I don't know, man. So expected response type is this, right? And then we switch on the expected response type, and if it is initialized, we do one thing. And if it's find references, we do another thing, I guess, right? That's probably reasonable. Yeah, but squiggle 0 won't work because plain 0 is a comp time. So the squiggle does do a bit flip, but you can't bit flip a comp time. Sure. I guess this is not compiling because we never actually try to make our app. So we're probably going to need to do some sort of like initialize step as well. That's going to return an app, I guess. And he needs to take an allocator for sure. And I guess first we're like, okay, alloc is equal to alloc, and our outgoing requests. I guess we need to send in this case when we start on initialization, we send our message. So we'll kind of do this like this, which means we need our like TX and RX handles. Okay. So this is just like this. Then we need our outgoing requests. So our outgoing requests is going to be an auto hash map of I32 to request type. Probably auto hash map unmanaged is better because we have an allocator kicking around already. We don't need to store it in here as well. And then we go, this is variable. We must say that we might need to free this thing if something goes wrong. And then I guess we go like outgoing requests, put the 1 for ID 1, we have initialize request. Okay. Now we can say here outgoing requests is equal to outgoing requests, and that our tx equal tx and our rx equal rx. Chill. Okay. So now I guess we can like initialize our app. After we spawn this motherfucker, we can go like app is equal to app init with Alex, TX, and RX. Well, we need to get the order right here. We need to be careful. So it's RX TX is what we did. Strong typing would help us here, but also, fuck that. And it's also actually read is process stood out, and write is process stood in. Okay. Then we need to do like app while true. I guess we just do like app.run probably. Okay. So now we kind of just comment out all of this shit. We do not give a fuck about him anymore. And now we kind of move this stuff into our run function. So we say like function run. And we just say like while true, we try to step ourselves. Surely step can fail. So we can do like try self step. And I guess we probably just do like a stood time sleep in here because we don't have a way, at least as far as I know, I don't know how to like pull the file. We'll put a fix me here. We will sleep for, I don't know, like maybe like 50 milliseconds. Time ms per ns per ms. There we go. And then here we'll say fix me, check proper poll on file handle. We could probably just do like POSIX poll or something, but this is good enough for now. We are always happy to just do what we want for now and deal with the fallout later. Okay. Do you didn't get the GPA because of courtesy, or does the compiler mark and leak? Or does the compiler comply and mark as a leak? No, you do it out of courtesy because you want the GPA to leak check you. So if you don't DNet the GPA, you won't get notifications about leaks, which are very useful. Very useful. Okay, so this needs to be, or else return, I guess. If we get a response for something that we don't expect, we can just kind of like say fuck off. Okay. This expected type void. Oh, because here at run we need to write try, I guess. True. Okay. Okay. So that's chilling now. Now if we find initialize response, we are literally gonna do nothing here except for just like shoot out our initialized notification. Right? So now we go like this. This is self tx writer, like this. And then I guess we can like just double check. We should probably set our state here. But also at this point, our state thing is kind of like unused because we're just going to assume that like we're initialized after this point. We can't have messages outgoing unless we sent them, and we only send them after initialize, so we can just ignore that for now. And after our initialize thing, we can send our find references. I don't know if we needed that did open. I'm kind of curious to know if we need it, so I'm going to skip that part for now, and we'll just immediately send this shit out as well. Now, we should be tracking IDs. So we might want to do something that's actually a little bit crazier. We might want to do something that's like we have a function self send message like we're gonna name collide if we do that, huh? Fine. I guess instead, because we need to track these IDs and we need to like automatically insert the expected response type. So maybe we'll just change the existing send message thing to we'll just put this in a struct. Is that easier? What would I call it? Oh god, I don't know. I need a name for this that's not send message, but it's sending the message, you know? I want to send the message and track state. Maybe we will say send message with ID. Send message auto track. Fuck it. Fuck it, we'll just do it by hand. We'll do it by hand. So we'll say that we have like an ID allocator. Which is going to be like very simple. He's going to be like, I have a ID usize equal or I32 equals 0. We'll say function next gives us an I32. This takes in self as an ID allocator. And he returns self ID and does a defer ID plus equals 1. Okay. And actually, we'll start him at 2, actually, just to make things easier. Not sure if this answers your question, but Zig recently changed to disallow referencing comp time mutable memory at runtime. Does Zig not allow for? Oh, I'm sure this is in response to something, but I don't know. Okay. Let's see. So we want to use our self ID allocator next here. We probably want to do something like this, and then we get the ID here, and then we go like self tx writer, and we say like self outgoing requests put with our allocator and the ID and find references. We say we want to send a find references thing, so fucking send that shit. And then if we get the find references, we'll just print find references response time now. You know? Sees. All right. Which does not happen. Why? Why? I guess that means that we're not getting the initialized response. Initialized, baby. Is that not happening? Yeah, it doesn't really look like it, huh? Why not? Are we like, got message, smile. Is any of this happening? No. Why? Maybe read to end alloc is not behaving the way I expected. Let's just double check again. So rx should be std out. So we do have an std out file here. So it looks like this may not be the play. Can we look at like var buff is, let's just do this for now. Are you making a text editor? We are making a database of references between components of a code base, which we are going to integrate with our editor to try to build a on-the-fly map of what's happening so that you can see context for whatever we are working on at a given point in time in some visual way. That's about the extent of where we've gotten to. But I don't like what the specifics are, I'm not so sure. But to do that, we need to find references between things. And once we have that, then we'll be able to like have some data to play with to experiment with different visualizations. But without the data, it's kind of useless. So we need to start somewhere. So can we do like read len is this? And then const message is equal to buff 0 to read len. And then can we say like if read len is equal to 0, continue or return, I guess. Let's see what happens if we do this. Fuck. Got message, smiley face, that's good. Then app run is failing with a syntax error on results. Right, because the thing that comes back is not JSON. It's a header first. So we need to parse the header, then parse the rest of the message. So we need to be like message. How do we want to do this? Stud mem index of this thing. So we're looking for double new line in the message. Yes. Or else return. So header end is this stuff. And I guess we need to like parse, we need to look for the content length, because like theoretically there could be multiple messages stacked up, which means that we need to know how much of this message to look at. But for now, we can just kind of assume that we'll get one message at a time. I think that's probably fair. So we're just going to ignore that because I don't want to do the header parsing right now. So then we'll just be like, does this give us the index of the start of the string? Probably, right? So we need to go like const JSON start is header end +4 probably, and then we should be able to go like message from JSON start onwards, and we'll just put a little fix me, and we should be like multiple messages will break this. Hello. Okay, so this gives us the initialized response, which is good, and then our request to find references is returning null now, which indicates that we do need to do that did open shit. So can we make our request type like don't care? I guess we can't. We do need like did open. No, because the did open is not a request, it's a notification, so we don't actually need to do that. So we can just send this did open. I think that's probably fine. It's probably fine. So before we do that, we go, we open this file, bruh, which has this content. I shouldn't say fucking bruh for no reason. What the fuck am I doing with my life? I'm fucking 30. Alright. This goes here, this goes here, and this goes here. This is self tx writer like this, and this is self alloc. Okay. So does this behave differently? Nice. Nice, dude. Okay, so now all of that was just so that here we can actually parse the response correctly, right? So if we execute a find references, we are assuming that we get something that has the shape of a find references response. And we should be able to like look at that thing now. I guess I should put another fix me actually on here. I think that like 496 is pretty small. ... Surely this will bite us at some point. So I was gonna put a little note there. What we could do is actually, since we said we were willing to accept a meg, we could do like, yeah, fuck it. We'll just fix this now. We'll do buff is stood or self alloc 1 meg. And maybe we actually are going to do this from like an arena or something so that we can reuse it. Maybe we do this once on initialization. Yeah, we'll do this. We'll say Rx buff is a slice of U8s. And then here will be like try alloc U8 1 meg. And then here we can just not use buff, we can use self Rx buff, and here we can use self Rx buff. There we go. Then we won't get bit. We won't get bit, probably. All right, chill. Chill. So, let's try to parse this find references response. Which comes from? I lost it. Here we go. So when we call references, here are params. Where does it define the response? This thing is like a thing with result. Yeah, how do we know? Response. Oh, here we go. Location thing or null. Partial result, location. Okay, I see. So here I guess we just have like result is a question mark of location, which means that we need a location, which I think we don't have to find right now. So location is just URI is this, and the range is a range, which means we need range, which is start position, end position. Okay, like this. Boom. So find references response extends a message. Do we have response? We extend the partial response message with the result. That seems pretty good to me. And so now down here somewhere, we should be able to be like, okay, we got a find references. Let's fucking parse this shit as, real shit. So it's just the same thing here, where we do like, okay, first of all, defer partial response to init for sure. Response is a find references response using the same shit. And now we should be able to go like response results, response, response. I spelled this wrong. Response. There we go. Value. Result. Like, is this tell us what we want to know? Oh, hell yeah, baby. Now we have the fucking result in our hands. We can look at it. Okay. So, what do we want to do? We want to like iterate this thing. We want to look at the result, the location. No, location is what we called it. And we say like std debug print, and we can just be like, this is the name, this is the line, this is the, I guess they want the range is what they're, but we really only care about the start probably. So we can go like line call probably, which is going to be like lock URI, lock range start, lock line, lock range start character, I think. So if response value result is equal to null, we have an error. No results, I guess we'll say. And then here we should be able to question mark that shit to unwrap it. Okay, we've got new lines. But there we go. So now let's just like sanity check those, I guess. I guess we should sanity check those. So 64, 8. these are off by 1. So 8 is the start of this, but again, off by 1. So 9, I guess. So then we go to 88, 13. Nice. Not 98, 9. Nice. 895, 12. Yeah. I think that these are correct. Pretty fucking sick. Pretty sick. So we now have proof of concept requesting a bunch of references from a language server. It looks like it is doing what we expect. And so the next steps are going to be to try to walk the file and find all of the locations of things that we might care about and then ask the LSP for those things and write them down. I'm a little bit curious actually about if we query multiple things now, I want to know if the second request will be serviced much faster. So I think that I'm just going to do that, and then that will be a good place to like kind of call it for the day. So maybe like let's look for references of one more thing after that. So let's look at like something that's used multiple times would be good. So can we look at like references to like app, right? We can just look for references to app. Hell yeah, that's gonna give us a lot. So this is at 1182 22. 1182 22. I need to write that down somewhere. 1182 22. Okay. So can we do just like rip that shit after the first references quest? We just do it again. So here we're like, we'll say ID2 for now because we're lazy. ID2 is going to be fine references, but this is going to be at 1182 22. Okay. Fuck. That's not good. Oh, that's really interesting. So what happened here? If I tried to, like, just sending a different request, he gets, like, fucking mad? Why? Who is segfaulting here? That's interesting. Oh, we probably need to actually do, like, a proper build here. ID is equal to ID2. That's a good point. That's a pretty good point. This is why you should fucking make functions. He's still mad, but I don't really understand why. Can we maybe disable stood error for a second here? Ignore, maybe? Just fucking send that shit into the void. Oh. Interestingly, maybe it's ZLS that's segfaulting. So, yeah, that's interesting. Can we ps aux grep ZLS? Okay, let's exit everything. No ZLS. Let's run this again. It looks like he's still fine. It does seem like the seg fault must be coming from him though, because we do see after that, we do see, weirdly, these things came in out of order. Very strangely. Right? We have, it would be nice to log the response ID actually. So can we go like here? Let's just go that we said stood debug print got response for this. Okay. So this is going to be partial response value ID. Yes, we got 1. Oh no, 2, 3. Which is in order this time? I swear last time it wasn't in order. But I guess it is. I don't know. Something about this feels a little fishy. Especially because like it was seg faulting before, and now I feel like it's not. Can we stop ignoring std error? Maybe ZLS is behaving differently if it has like logging enabled. I wonder what happens if in here we go like this, turn off the like extra debug behavior. It could be a bug in ZLS there. Yeah, yeah, I bet you that's it. So one of the debug logs is getting angry, presumably because we're not sending it everything it expects or something. That's pretty funny. And then it's crashing, and then we don't get our expected results. But interesting. Interesting. All right. I think that this is like a pretty natural place to call it for the day. The next steps are going to be like walking the file. Oh, here, wait, it's out of order again. Wait. Yeah. See, we see it. Get response 1, get response 3, and then get response 2. So I bet what's happening is ZLS internally is making a stack of requests that it got at once and then popping the stack in reverse order. Just because that's probably like what's most convenient memory wise, right? You can just like push everything into like an array list and then pop it as you go. I bet you that's what's happening, because it's weird that these things are coming out of order. But it's also good. I'm surprised to some extent that we are not crashing in this case, because I would have expected that we would get like 2 messages at once. But lucky for us, I guess, for now. Anyways, I think this is a natural place to call it for the day. It is 3:52, which is like 8 minutes from when we would naturally, when we target, we try to end at 4. So threading. Oh yeah, I guess that's an option too. ZLS might be running on multiple threads. Good point. So what did we do today? We launched an LSP. We found references for a thing for 2 things. So we now have the capability of finding and parsing references. The next steps are going to be to try to tie those references back to like function names, which I believe we can do by like walking the AST. And I think we will do that with tree sitter. So that's probably what we'll do tomorrow. We'll like open tree sitter, try to get a list of all functions, pull the LSP for all of these things, and see where we end up. And then we can do some like GUI work. So exciting stuff. If you want to see that, tune back in tomorrow or check the VODs on YouTube. They will be going up soon. This code will end up on GitHub under our new repo. I don't know what we're going to call it yet, and it might take a few days to go up. Yeah, if you liked what you saw, there's a YouTube link in the Twitch description. These things are organized into playlists. We are working on a new thing. It'll be a new playlist. Wow. Generating a map of our code base. But there's other things back here if you want to check those out. If you're watching on the VODs and you want to check us out live, we stream 12:32 or 12:30 to 2 Pacific time for happy hour, 2 Pacific to 4 Pacific for the mainstream. Happy hour is like what you're seeing now, except with less important stuff with less structure, right? Like usually a YouTube VOD needs a title and a thumbnail, right? Which means that they also have to like hit the algorithm in some way, so they have to be like kind of interesting. They have to have some form of narrative. Happy hour is like if I just wasn't thinking about any of that. So today we started by like trying to see if we could use tree sitter at all to experiment. Then we got like distracted by some GUI stuff, and then in the GUI stuff we got distracted from by some text layout stuff, and we just kind of like followed the list of things and had some fun there. But yeah, less structured. So if you want to see that and you're watching VODs, you have to join on YouTube, sub on Twitch, or join the Patreon. You will get access to the VODs through whatever mechanism those provide. Otherwise, I think we just say goodbye to VOD viewers and Twitch. Let's find someone to raid.